I didn't know if I wanted to make a joke about, oh, wow, it's not Sunday, it's Thursday. Is it Thursday yet? Or some weird Fortnite joke, or looking in the camera and realizing my work clothes are just blatantly laying in the background of what I'm capturing on my webcam. But that's okay because it's time for some Kingmaker. Thank you, the four of you, for hanging out. We have sweet new art now. I'm still kind of playing around with what I want OBS to look like. I think it looks a lot better than it did before, and I'm not just saying that because there's a like what seems to be old pirate dog just like standing in the corner out of context. But last time we got back home, last time we caught up with our favorite NPCs, realized some of our NPCs hadn't come back or neglected to check on some NPCs, learned that the Hell Knights have been oped by the that great Fae happening that's going down.
They were lucky.
They were lucky. Nagaris Varnden, the small retinue, his dare I say his proverbial general's bodyguard unit, has fled the bad times to come crash at what on the map is now referred to as Fort Lichgrave. I imagine that town is probably still called Fort Staggrave, or will change names a lot. Who knows? And now right, there are two things. Good, but the time now comes to figure out what in the heck we're doing with Vorticai dealt with to establish our borders. Have a general. I forgot to put general in the chat because I forgot we were running a little early. In any case, who wants to go first for that in-character reflection for the hero point? And remember, I'll be seeing you again in 3 days after this, so you don't have a lot of time to write up a second one.
Yeah. I can go first. I don't have anything super crazy prepared. I kind of tapped out all my brain juice with the last session. So mine's going to be the good old boilerplate intro. So hello, everybody. I am playing the character Cato Sicarius, His Royal Highness, the great and mighty Cato Sicarius, son of Saul Sicarius, first of the Reclaimers, vanquisher of the Stag Lord, and renouncer of the grave. Love my new title, by the way. Yes, so in the last episode of Kingmaker Z, turns out our plans for stability after vanquishing our mortal enemy, or I should say immortal enemy, haha, have kind of been flipped on their head. You know, we thought we'd get some peace and quiet, maybe, could go for a little bit of a vacation, get a suntan, but turns out the whole world is rising up around us in some weird Fae-related, first world shenanigans. So, that's annoying, but, it is what it is. With all that said, security of the borders and of the people within the borders is of the utmost priority on Cato's mind at this moment. And so, yes, the debate about who should lead said military force is a hotly debated topic as well. There are many candidates. There are pros and cons to many of those candidates. So Cato has requested that all interested parties submit themselves for review, essentially, and a decision will need to be made. With that in mind, with that being said, I mean, it's a big kingdom now. It's getting bigger every day. A singular, general is, obviously something that needs to happen, but the possibility for military ranks, beneath said general, lieutenant ranks, essentially, and all of that fun stuff can certainly exist as well. So even if someone isn't selected to be, sort of the head of the military arm, does not mean that they can't serve in other, capacities that are worthy of their talents. So, we're gonna have to break a few hearts, maybe, but hopefully we can provide some consolation prizes for some of those that, that ultimately don't get picked. But yeah, with all of that said, we ended last session with a kind of a surprise for everyone as Cato's new roommate decided to emerge in front of the crowd for the first time. I guess Ionia has already seen him, but other than her, I think this is the first time everyone has set their eyes on our new ghostly visitor. So curious to see, mostly curious to see how Senya reacts to this. Like, I can kind of, guess how some of the other characters might react, but she's the wild card in this encounter. So
Arcturus immediately just starts unloading in Ducat's direction.
Crossbow!
Heresy! But indeed, take that hero point. Kato is correct. There may be heartaches by the number. This particular run of Kingmaker. We listened to a lot of Fallout New Vegas at Chipotle today, just to make some people mad who really didn't want to hear Fallout New Vegas, because we're cool like that. Anyway, take that, management, who didn't want to listen to video game music. We didn't. It was real music from the 1950s. Got him! Who's going next, though?
I will go.
All
Someone
right.
stole my first position.
How dare they?
Yeah, I also don't have anything prepared because I usually do it on Saturdays and everything is kind of flipped around. So here I am. I'm playing Arcturus, a high priest of Abadar of Chelish descent. I think it's fair to say there were a few things that happened last time that were a big deal. Probably the most. I don't know. Ooh, even saying the most notable feels wrong. I guess top of my mind is the Hell Knights getting exploded. That's kind of the more I thought about that, the worse that feels. Definitely, they were a source, like a kind of a point of reference for Arcturus's heritage. They were a welcome sight, even if they presented a few complications. And knowing that we had friends amongst the chaos was something that he kind of counted on. So with that going away, yikes. He's definitely I also had the really good heart-to-heart with Bakken, which I don't know that I've ever had before. So I'm, like, on a personal level, slightly conflicted, but ultimately I'm pretty sure everyone expects, and you will be not be surprised that Arcturus will probably be shilling pretty hard for Megaris to take the general spot. And other than that, though, got my severed head cooking. I'm planning on having some text RP to finalize that. And I will leave my reaction to seeing my good friend, the High Priest of Gorham, to the RP.
All right, fair enough. Hero point goes to you. My phone exploded in the middle of that, and that was terrifying because I was just listening to you. That was I don't know what the fuck that was. I had Snapchat open. I guess I hit like a link or something. I don't know. My phone has clearly betrayed me. Phone sus. Must eject. I've played so much Among Us lately. It's not. I'm a very bad liar. Anyway, who's next? All right, the dice are gonna do it. Wham! The dice saith that it will be. I didn't call it even odds. I'm just gonna say send it. Nice. I don't have to make a decision.
So like the rest of the group so far, I don't have anything prepared this week because the session kind of snuck up on me. But kind of as Esker pointed out, just a lot of really notable things these last few sessions. But as for Ionia, she spent a good part of the past week just kind of making a crown for Kato. Seeing the ghost in his room was a bit of a surprise, and I'm a little torn on that one because on the one hand, it's hard to trust someone who is so associated with one of our biggest enemies. On the other hand, he just seems like a swell guy. So kind of looking forward to see where that goes. And I'm sure eventually, the loss of sight's gonna catch up to her and she'll become cripplingly depressed. But I just have a really hard time playing that, so she's probably just gonna keep being chipper.
Fair. As you do.
It'll happen at some nameless point over the next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
What was that?
That was me trying to find. There's a big blue line on the map that once upon a time denoted don't pass this line, it's a high level area. It is no longer a high level area. I'd really like to delete that line, but I can't find it. That's the map of the Stolen Lands. Whatever, it's fine. The blue line will live forever, I guess. Great.
So Ionia, don't worry. I will keep making vision jokes until you fall into a crippling depression.
The thing is, I like the vision jokes. Like, I'm a big fan of Toph, so I'm kind of into it.
She's actually working to multi-class geokineticist. We haven't talked about it yet, but soon! Alright, Sedia.
I was not aware I was doing this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess it's my turn. I am Senya, the Black Stag. Senya's very incensed by seeing the ghost of her old nemesis. Well, I guess it's not necessarily, like, he's not necessarily the one nemesis, but he's part of the nemesis that she has sworn to avenge, right? And I guess we're gonna see how this is gonna play out. She's got big words and like a bone to pick with this ghost. What else? I play a barbarian Gemini invoker and part-time rough rider. And sorry, I'm just like spent today, so I don't have a lot of energy on lots of colorful RP.
Well, good, because now you have to start yelling at me as I pretend to be a ghost, so that's fun.
Okay. Oh, that's fun.
She's just, okay. I'm saying though, usually my Thursday nights are like, I get home from work, I go see my therapist at like 7, and between here and there, I like play Skyrim mostly. So now it's like, it's a hell yeah, best day ever.
You're one of those people that still plays Skyrim. Like, what, it's been a decade since the game came out?
Uh-huh.
Still a good game.
They put it
It
out
is.
on
I'm-
Switch.
I know, it's crazy. Have you
Okay to again.
have you seen that meme where it's like, you know, back in my day we played this game, not this game, and it's like a 10-year gap, and it's both Skyrim.
Exactly.
That's a great meme. Anyway,
All
Good
right.
one, Del.
Good one,
Up
Del.
high.
Up high. God damn it.
You want to tell our viewers about that joke your dad used to say?
Oh my god, no.
But hero points all round, and we basically pick up from that pin dropping. The ghostly visage of Dugoth floats into the room.
The record scratch.
What?
The record scratching.
Yeah.
Dropping. Yeah.
I know that Senya pulled her sword, and I called out to like hold on for 1 minute before everyone literally like tries to like gang up on this supposed enemy. So I'll just complete my sentence that I ended at the very end of the last session as we were cut off as the session came to a close. So as weapons are drawn, Kato steps forward quickly next to the ghost, holding his hand out and says, "Hold your weapons, friends, for a moment." And
Senya narrows her eyes, looks at the priest, and says, "You better talk fast. What is he doing here?"
He is a tortured soul. When he fell in combat against us, it appears he was not able to pass on, and he now haunts these lands until with unfinished or unresolved issues. He has offered his assistance in helping to free his tribe, the Tiger Lords, from the influence of darker forces that he says are well, I guess influencing them. I hate using the same word, but yes, that. However, I will let him speak his own case,
So
as I do feel he has a lot. Despite his intentions and why he's here, he does have a lot to answer for to some of the parties present.
So let's start it off with a knowledge religion, I think. Yeah.
Don't mind if I do. Never mind, I do
That's
mind.
the worst check I've ever rolled.
Ooh, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna hero point that.
All right, Vortica.
Wait.
Here's...
Wait.
Really?
I'm not gonna hero point that because Tara rolled well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so then in that case, what Kato is saying is it rings pretty true to a little less Ionia, a little less Arcturus, a little more the Geminate Invoker. It's fortuitous that it was Senia that rolled super well here. Seems to be the poor guy couldn't pass on and is now... You're looking at a ghost. They kind of function in the same way a haunt does. Like, he could go manifest a thing and over time become the effect of a haunt, as opposed to presumably a incorporeal thing that can cast magic. It's I guess, so far as he mechanically goes, you could probably take him, like, as you quickly look him up, and then y'all fought him before and he was strong, but he probably hasn't gotten that much stronger other than the fact that he's incorporeal relative to how much all of you have in the intervening spaces between last time you saw him and now. And it's pretty obvious that Dugoth can tell this. Like, his sword, which is less of a pull from the sheath and more like a manifestation of ectoplasm that just boom, in lightsaber style into his hand. He could probably hurt somebody with it. It'd be pretty easy for him to yeet the Arbiter back to Axis, but that would be about it. I'm sure you have many questions, especially you. Looks Sendia up and down.
Ghost, huh? Well, I can help you pass on, priest. What possible help can you offer us? And don't give me the excuse that your tribe is under the influence of some evil forces. What gave you the right to extinguish my tribe? They must pay for what they have done.
And you can find that blood price yourself with them. Why do we extinguish your tribe? I believe we went over this before. He raises one hand and rubs his thumb and his pointer together. It is what the Tiger Lords do. Money. We were offered a very hefty sum to make sure that all of you were run off from your ancestral home by violence or otherwise. Violence is kind of what we do. That said, I have known, as I told, and he turns to Kato, as I have told your king, I have known Armag since Armag was, and he puts his hand to about the height of the table, this tall and even shorter. He is a wise and powerful chief. He would not walk hundreds and hundreds of warriors to die for no reason. And he swings his arm in the direction of Restov. He is being manipulated. They are only going to keep coming again and again and again until all of the rivers in these kingdoms flow with the blood of warriors and innocents alike. I would prefer it if the people I once fought next to did not have to die a needless death.
Would that it were my tribe did not have to die a needless death. Pooh, and she spits.
Dugoth has no response. He kind of just folds his arms across his chest. Jubilost, Buck, and the rest of the assembled council all get real awkward, quiet, as this happens and as silence kind of like lands on the table. No one seems to really know what to say.
Well, priest, what could you possibly offer us? You came, like, you manifest yourself here. Why?
Because I know my people. I know how my people fight. I know how to train warriors. I know how to lead men and women on the battlefield. And I don't think I can do anything about what has befallen my people without the assistance of any, like, waves his arm at the four of you, such as yourselves.
Our king can fight, and our king can train the warriors that we need. We don't need your help. And believe me, when the rivers run believe me, when the rivers run red with blood, they will run red with blood, with tiger blood.
He nods really slowly. He kind of like floats to turn himself in Kato's direction. Is this how it will be then? Will it be you that lead your people on the battlefield?
Processing.
Hold on one sec. He's gonna reload, I think.
Rebooting.
He really just needs a lot of time to process that answer. Also, I just looked in the banter and saw that the doggo is the queen. There is one imposter among us, and it's a doggo.
I was gonna say Deloth was ejected.
3 imposters remain. That means I auto lose. Ah! Well, anybody? No, never mind. There he is.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I tried talking and well, rip. Okay, so let me get back to repeat what I was trying to say. Kato looks to the assembled group, looks to Senya, seeing the blood red behind her eyes, turns to the ghost in the room. Concordia will raise an army. It will be led by the best among us. Our enemies will be broken before us. He looks again to the ghost. I listened to your offer earlier before this meeting convened, and I did consider what you had to offer and what you said to me. However, promises were made, oaths were sworn, before we even stepped foot into these lands. I made a vow to my friend here, pointing to Senya, that if she helped us establish, if she acted as our guide here within the Stolen Lands, I would do everything in my power to see vengeance, the vengeance she seeked for her tribe, achieved. And as I am a king of my word, he looks to Senya again. Will you find no peace until, is it Armeg?
Mm-hmm.
Will you find no peace until Armeg and all those who follow him have shared the fate that your people shared the fate of your people?
There can be no peace until the Tiger Lords are extinguished.
Arcturus raises an eyebrow at that and looks at Senya, very concerned. For the first time in this scene, he's more looking at Senya than at the ghost.
Then I'm afraid you have my answer.
If I may, it's my understanding that we, and I say we lightly here, dispatched this man once when he had information we could have used, before we had received that information. Don't you think it'd be unwise to do that again?
I will not house a mortal enemy of one of our council members here. It would be insensitive, and
It would be foolish to turn down a resource as someone who has information on our enemy.
I understand that. But if an associate of a group who slaughtered your entire family, say a lieutenant of Vorticai, was within our company offering information in exchange for our help to exist among us in peace, knowing that he was part of the company that murdered your mother.
I think I've shown the discomfort that I'm willing to endure to end the life of the man who ended my family's.
And I will not deny Senya the same vengeance that you experienced either.
I think you're missing my point.
I understand your point. And despite how I feel about the value of our guest, I must respect, especially when it comes to this delicate matter. I must respect the wishes of someone who has been here since the beginning, someone who joined us on this exposition for one sole purpose.
Well, priest, do you have any final useful information about who paid you to kill my tribe and why? Otherwise, I'm more than happy to dispatch you here and now.
Dukov kind of just looks up at, like, he's watching the four of you as this conversation is happening, and then he slowly shakes his head no, and then unmanifests.
Useless.
Somebody want to bother explaining to me what in the chocolate-covered fuck just happened? Jubilost goes like to begin to exposition the events of 20-odd sessions ago. And seeing that no one immediately interrupts him, he does begin spouting off the events of that encounter, how he and Perlavesh single-handedly illusioned off an army of Tiger Lords as y'all cleaned up the rest of them and killed that dude pretty handily. Well, alright. And he wanted to help us against his own people.
He wanted to save his own people and his friend, Armeg. And he felt like that assisting us was the best way to go about doing so. Unfortunately, despite the aid that I truly believe he could have been to us, I don't think we could have reconciled what his ultimate goal in helping us was with what and he looks to Senya, her ultimate ambition is.
And just what is that ambition?
Senya looks over at not Esker. Who's Esker? She looks over at Arcturus. Ambition? What do you mean?
My understanding is he, from what I gather, he hoped to free his people from some unduly evil influence, and that isn't good enough for you?
No.
Then what is it you're after?
They annihilated my tribe. I will return the favor. That is my ultimate goal.
Arcturus has an expression of mild surprise. Have you thought that through?
I had several years to think on it. They broke the laws of hospitality. They came to our village and they were offered bread and water, but in return, they gave us death.
Such a slaughter is rather unbecoming of a follower of Erastil. If I might be so bold.
There are general nods and looks of concern from the NPCs who are, at the moment, not saying anything. There seems to be a unanimous sense of, like, it's almost awkward for them all to be in the room with you right now.
Kato takes a step forward to Senya, putting a hand on her shoulder. I will never be presumptuous enough to say that I understand the trauma you experienced. While I do echo the High Priest's concern, at the same time, I don't think I, nor he, nor anyone in this room has the right to judge someone for their decision unless they too have gone through who've gone through something like what you have. The eradication of your family, everyone you ever knew and loved, and the cause of all of that pain and suffering is out there still, seeking to cause more pain and more suffering.
And that man could have helped us bring an end to it.
For how long? He seeked, let's be realistic. He seeked to help us end the influence that whatever, seems to have them in its grasp right now. But he would not have helped us to see his friend killed. He would not have helped us to truly realize Senya's vengeance.
He has information on our enemies that
he does.
None of us have, that we just let go for a second time.
Unless you had some means of restraining him, there was no way we could. We would be lying to him.
He had no information. You saw him before he cowardly disappeared.
We would have needed to deceive him. I do not think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Senya, while Armeg still draws breath, you will not have peace. And Armeg was his friend who he wished to save. How can you reconcile those two goals together without deceiving?
We shouldn't end Armag. I'm saying we should use every tool to our advantage, but clearly I'm the only one who thinks so.
I am not in any hurry to work with a priest of Gorham, of course, but nor am I in any hurry to see ourselves turn into the very thing that we hate. And maybe none of us are qualified to be her judge, but there is one who she appeals to who is very much qualified to be her judge. And I suspect this path will not be a good one in the long run or even the short run. It's concerning to see you consumed like this.
I made an oath, and I intend to see it through. Whatever it takes.
And my oath that I made to Senya when she joined us on this expedition, 2 years ago?
And so now there's a ghost out there who probably has information on us, considering when I first saw him, he was in our king's chambers. Who knows where else he could have been? Who's now likely going to just go back to his friends and offer them information instead of us?
Luckily, we have given him very little, but that is an unfortunate circumstance. Yes, I agree.
How much did Vortikai know about us without us telling him?
Yes, well. Either way, there's nothing that can be done of it now unless you have the means of tracking him. Do we have the means of tracking him?
I could possibly scry him.
That would probably be a good first start.
To what end? This ghost is the smaller issue. He's in no position to do us any great harm. He clearly has no love for the people in charge of his former tribe. I think a far darker shadow is being cast in this room right now.
Well, everyone in here has a choice. Senya has made her intentions clear, and I cannot for the life of me see that changing. I have sworn to support her in that decision, as I have right from day one, before we even ever stepped foot on these lands. Each of you have a decision here today to support your fellow High Council member down the path
Of slaughter? I will not.
very well.
Out of curiosity, Artoris, do you disagree that the Tiger Lords are our enemy?
Of course they're our enemy, but
What do you plan to do with them?
we will defeat their leadership, and they will pay for the crimes that they committed. But to slaughter innocents, to talk of genocide and extinction, this very conversation is making me ill. And Erastil would be ashamed, and Jod would as well.
Senya, would Armeg's death and any others who were complacent in the decision-making that led to the death of your tribe, would their lives be enough to balance the scales if the rest were to flee these lands?
All who were involved in the slaughter must
And
die.
What of their
You-
children? What of their elderly?
Children are innocent, but you priests talk like you say. Talk of genocide makes you ill. How do you think it makes me feel? Having found my people slaughtered, innocent children, old wise men and women mercilessly run down. All who were involved in that slaughter must die. I made that promise to Erastil, and I
All who
intend
were
to keep
involved,
it.
sure. It sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, Artoris, that the priest's concern is that you want to do the same to them, that you want to commit the genocide, that you want to kill their innocents, their children.
A child's life is sacred. But I do not intend to harm a child.
And what will we do with the children? Send them on their way like the Tiger Lord sent my brother? To fend for themselves and die in the wilds?
No.
If I may be so bold as to say that perhaps we can focus our efforts towards those who were directly responsible. That would include the leadership. That would include their warriors, the ones who have the actual blood on their hands. But the women, the children, they would be given the choice to either return west or start creating new lives here under the banner of Concordia, perhaps.
I believe many of their women are warriors as well.
Well, any who would take up arms would obviously be.
And so again, what of the children? We leave them orphaned? They become Concordian urchins? They grow up despising us for killing their families?
Violence.
We owe
violence. I see.
We owe the children nothing. We owe nobody anything. But what we definitely should be careful to do is only punish the guilty. That is all that I ask.
Do you agree, Senya? Punish the guilty.
Senya kind of has this look of disbelief and disappointment. I can't believe you think me a monster priest.
Before today, I never once did.
I'm not heartless. I don't intend to revel in the slaughter. But punishment must be meted out for what they did, and I intend to carry it out.
Cato lets out a deep, sigh, like a deep breath, like an audible exhale. Emotions are clearly running very high in this moment. Yes, I don't think our Viceroy truly intended the wholesale genocide. Though I do understand her position and her desire for vengeance upon what happened. I feel like we can achieve that vengeance without crossing a certain line. And I think Senya knows that.
I should certainly hope so. You're starting to sound like Kalira. There's Jubilost's face has been drained of its color. As this is... I shouldn't say that for the gnome, should I?
Are you okay?
He's just real quiet. His face is pale. Perlavash is perched on his shoulder, booping the snoot on his chin. He has freshly shaved, and you can see him wince. It's clear Perlavash is doing that on purpose, as a grounding technique, right?
Aw, little emotional support dragon.
Little emotional support dragon. Bakken is just this whole time he's been sitting here drinking a probably smells something on the equivalent of an Irish coffee. The last person to come through these hallowed halls, and I use that term in all of my... Never mind. Point is, I think we ran somebody off for trying to slaughter left and right. I understand they took everything from you. Far be it from me to discredit that loss. With that in mind, there are plenty of people amongst the Tiger Lords who were not responsible. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, Viceroy, and assume you couldn't pick out every single solitary warrior present at the battle, right? Did you have all those faces memorized? Did you see every last one of them? Or are we just going to assume?
Senya kind of like sighs very tiredly and pinches the bridge of her nose. I'm never one for colorful words. I leave that up to Arcane. But no, you're right. Those who take up arms in the name of the Tiger Lords and in the name of, and those who take up arms for mercenary reasons, they will pay. And those who made the command to run my tribe down will pay. Children, no.
Cato looks to Senya, and with a reassuring nod, I promise you, my friend, Armeg, and all those he holds in his council, you will have your justice on them.
Good.
Now, don't get me entirely wrong here. The Tiger Lords represent a pretty big threat to that thing we're building. I'm not saying it would, strictly speaking, be a horrible thing if they were wiped off the map. They are known to pillage and slaughter everywhere they go, and I'm pretty sure if you let any of them go, they'll be back in a few years with more friends, more weapons, off to do it again. I think he kind of like slowly looks around. Okay, Megaris isn't here. I accidentally said this once in his presence. He didn't like it. And Jubilos kind of like half smiles at this. So does Perlavesh. The road to hell, in fact, is paved with good intentions. Let us just bear that in mind.
I like that. I like how you had to look for the tiefling.
What? He gets real sensitive about it.
I can imagine.
In any case, how exactly are we planning to do this? He kind of like sits back up in his chair. The army exists. There are plenty of people here who will fight and die for Concordia, but we're far from a campaigning force, I guess, far from an army on the march. We are a small group of hunters, Iruxi, I suppose enough Hell Knights to scare off any minor threat, and a handful of Fae.
Yes, we will need help. The first priority is certainly shoring up our defenses. We need to secure our borders before we can even consider looking towards outside threats. There's no point marching out to war if we do not have a home to come back to when we're done. So, Senya, I will have to, as much as I know you are eager to see this done, and I promise it will be done, I will ask your permission that we exercise restraint, at least in the short term, until we are in a better position to be able to combat such a foe on favorable terms.
I am no fool, my lord.
Very good.
Strengths and weaknesses.
With that being said, it is true. We need more able-bodied men and women who can fill out this army. We have, as you mentioned, we have those who have flocked here and are willing to fight for coin. We have the Iruxi, the Hell Knights, if our friend will, lend us their swords. But we are going to... but we will need more. Which is why I would like... Man, this whole event sort of derailed my whole agenda here for this council meeting, but I think this transitions nicely into the final matter of business. And that is, we discussed it at length before, the Lich situation was upon us. But I think the time has come for us to reach out to our neighbors in the north. To maybe, perhaps, see if there's a way to open up diplomatic relations. And part of those diplomatic relations could potentially be, if we can come to an agreement, I would not be opposed to the idea of an allied garrison being situated in the north if they would have us as their allies. It is no secret that the armies of Rossland, is formidable, and if we really seek to strengthen our borders against any potential threats, they could make a good ally. I know they are currently in the midst of a lot of turmoil now, and an ally to them may also be of some use, especially as we have survived down here for the past 2 years. We have shown that we are capable, that we are resilient. I see no reason they couldn't also make use of our help. But I do think we need allies, and with the Hell Knight fort essentially taken over and turned into a Fey den, a lair, our next closest and strongest potential ally lies to the north.
So we're shooting for an enemy of our enemy as our friend kind of thing. Or did we forget the part where the place you came from has renounced your nobility and on pain of death has kicked all of you out of the border?
Yes, I am still acutely aware of the circumstances of our exile and of my public disgrace. With that said, that order, I'm also no stranger to the nuances of politics. That order was issued by the King of Brevoy. It was carried out begrudgingly by those in Rostov. But we know tensions between House Sertova and the southern houses is likely at a boiling point, and the likeliness that the Eldori and the other powerful southern houses will continue to carry out the wishes of a king that they vehemently oppose. It's no secret, becomes less and less likely over time. There may be an opportunity, even if this alliance, needs to be done in a less public means. I think there might be a possibility there.
That would seem to make sense to me. Certainly, they're probably spoiling for another fight against the Tiger Lords, given that they were interrupted by... Jubilost, will you please cover our kind and noble Lord Dragon's ears? And he kind of leans on top of Perlavesh to hold him like the gentle, sweet summer child that he is. The Jabberwock.
Yes. And even if it doesn't work out, I see no harm in at least extending that olive branch and seeing what becomes of it. At the very least, we're no worse off than we were before we began. But the potential that is certainly there, and one that I think is worth exploring.
Reasonable. It can't be much harder to defend a border from an attack on two fronts than it is to defend a border from someone who can just teleport willy-nilly into your bathroom and start nuking you.
That should have happened. Mordecai should have ambushed Arcturus in the bathroom.
In the outhouse?
How dare you poop in my presence, Fireball. I have all the spell components I need right there. And then everyone dies.
Oh god, that's so gross.
Spell component for Fireball is in fact Neclono.
Oh my god.
Poop jokes.
Yay!
I love it.
So how are you planning on going about this? Are we going to send one of you? Are we going to send one of the rest of the council? Are we... Buck and just kind of trails off.
I'll be honest, I haven't thought about it that far. I more wanted to broach the topic with the council and kind of get a feel for what you all thought of the general idea. Hammering out the specifics, definitely something we can do, but he looks to some of the other members like Arcturus and Ionia, who have been a little quieter. What are your thoughts?
You want me to start yelling about how foolish everyone is again?
I mean,
Oh, please do.
not preferably not, but what are your thoughts on this harebrained scheme of trying to make an ally of the enemy of our enemy, who also carried out an order to have us exiled?
I will say this. My loyalty is to Concordia, not to Issia, though I am from there, and the last remaining member of my family is there as well. So I would not be so quick to, I don't know, push a civil war between Rustland and Issia until I know my father is out of harm's way.
Oh, I highly doubt we would have the influence to push that civil war over the edge.
I think that Rostland joining forces with us
Could do it.
probably do it.
It is true if it came to light, perhaps, or at least there would certainly be reprisals, and that would have
Not
to
exactly
be.
an easy thing to
Yes.
keep quiet.
No, it's not. But I definitely understand the delicate situation you are in. Did you have any? With that said, even without our intervention, even if we stay distant and do not attempt any contact, there is a very good chance, that civil war will break out regardless. And is it your father?
Yeah.
There
are ways I can bring him to us. I would need time to gather the resources and craft the items, and I'm not positive they would work.
Yes. As for, yes, we definitely, before taking any action, we would want to make sure that even if war was, which is the most extreme kind of nuclear option that Issia could do, even if simply targeting our family within the borders. My father still lives in Rostov. Your father lives in Port Ice.
That's correct.
Yes, haha, I know stuff.
You've known me my whole life. I would hope you would know that.
Kato knows stuff. I'm just talking about Dell. Dell knows stuff. Dell remembers stuff. Yes, the safety of our family members would be of the utmost priority before any sort of antagonizing action, is even considered. So yes, of course. You certainly have my full support in seeing your father brought to safety here, if that is what you think he would desire. I will leave, obviously, that decision up to the two of you. As for broaching the actual topic with Rostland, my father, last I knew, before the events of the exile, did have a very good relationship with the Lord Mayor of Rostov. In fact, it was their agreement between the two of them to form this expedition and put me at the head of it, as we didn't want to draw attention to it by having my father be the one to lead the expedition. That would have been far too public of a scene. Unfortunately, it looks like we were ousted anyway. Our secret was outed anyway, so moot point. But ultimately, yes, those two, did have a very good relationship. I imagine they still do. I can't see my father holding a grudge against the Lord Mayor for following through, with a decree that came from the king. Use big air quotes when he says king, because I'm sure you all know what Cato thinks of the great king in the north. The relationship made
family to be big followers of House Hartova.
Yeah. So the relationship may be strained, but I'm sure it is still intact. So if if I was to find some way to reach out to my father, he might be able to coordinate some form of meeting.
I could create a correspondence with a hidden message that I feel confident would be very difficult to decrypt. If you feel confident that your father would pick up on that and either be able to himself or find someone trusted to decode it.
While I mean, it's high society. He lives in essentially high society. There will be, he will have the means. If not, someone with the means, he would have the wealth to acquire someone with the means to do so.
Is
And
he
someone he
insightful
trusts.
enough to realize?
My father is a shrewd individual. He is smart. He is crafty. I trust that he would understand the situation when he becomes placed in it and will act.
Baka is kind of just nodding to himself as this is all going on.
I would require your assistance in writing such a letter, not only to ensure that we have the correct message being sent, but in my experience, the best way to tip somebody off that there's something more than meets the eye is to include hints in the writing, things that things about you that your father would know are not true, something of that nature.
Something that only he would pick up on.
Exactly.
Should the letter or correspondence be intercepted or viewed by someone else, that it would seem innocent
Correct.
to someone else. Yes. Yeah, I would be more than happy to assist you with that. In fact, I think this was our plan about a year ago, but you know,
And then there's the
glitches
matter
happen. Glitches happen.
and then there's the matter of getting the letter to him.
Yes. So I think that is the thing. Having a letter delivered to him is probably not too difficult. I imagine, you know, just a letter of his son checking up on him, telling him how things are going. Sure, it'll likely be screened, which is why, you know, code is important. We could try to get it to him discreetly. That may there are essentially
That may
risks
raise
with
more
both.
suspicion.
Yeah, we could do it, you know, inconspicuous, or we could do it just like straight up and have the message be properly, you know, encoded enough that only he would ascertain the true meaning of the letter. And doing so, it would almost certainly be intercepted and read and then delivered, if, you know, and hopefully, you know, none the wiser to those who intercepted it and screened it. Or so if you're, you know, confident with our ability to be able to pull one over, anyone who might see it first, then great. That is probably the safest way to do it. Otherwise, trying to find some way to get it to him discreetly would be the other option. That carries with it the risks of, you know, a covert operation, which we were going to use Kalira and her contacts in the criminal underworld of Restov to help with that originally, but I feel like that resource is no longer available.
It was sad to scrap that plot arc yet. So many fighting pits you guys would have had to go through, and it's like in season 1 of Spartacus when you understand. But best laid plans.
I feel that often the least convoluted plan is the most likely to succeed.
True. And the one that raises the least amount of suspicion as well. So, okay, I think. So that is that. And your father, okay, that's obviously going to be a key factor before anything is done. You don't have any. Yeah, you're good.
Can we might I point out that we still have a Tiger Lord stronghold on our southern borders that we should probably keep watch on.
Oh, the troll lair that was supposed to have our end of book 2 rewards in it that we never went and collected.
Womp 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 womp. The Tiger Lords attack you.
What are you talking about?
It's just there's this big old skull that's full of things, and they throw them at you.
I am. the Tiger Lords reports said that there was like a large battle, but then when the Fey event happened, the army scattered and the Tiger Lords fled back west. Is that correct? Am I remembering?
It was not the Fey event, but rather the Jabberwock itself got involved in the battle, which caused a bunch of people to go crazy, and the battle it instantly turns into both sides rout.
Both sides rout.
Let's call the whole thing off.
Because we're all stabbing ourselves and our friends. This is not a great time. Call back later. Time skip. Whoop, 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 whoop.
There is a chance that the Tiger Lords may have abandoned the old troll lair.
Well, either way, we should probably scout around there to find out.
I agree. We should definitely at least investigate that hex. And because seriously, we've had a key.
It's been sitting there since the start of what, book 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Start of book 3. Well, we got the key for it, end of book 2. But yes.
I mean, if y'all really want to do those encounters, we can. But I'm just saying, like, here is a CR4 snapping turtle in the water. That one's over there. It's no longer a threat because you fly and have unlocked the gunpowder technology. Go! And then Arcturus just poof, and it's done, right? But they are there.
All right. Guys want to go check it out? Just so we can get this key quest item out of my quest item inventory that I can't sell it or
the key is bound to his wrist.
Yeah, it's got this big quest item tag on it, so I can't put it in my bank. I can't vendor it. I can't do.
To be honest, I wasn't expecting anything mechanical to happen, so my sheet is not reflective of the gear that I would have on me right now.
I mean,
specifically my crossbow.
And we're kind of still in the year time skip happening. It can, if you would like to do that, but
I mean, like, we don't have to do it today.
Right. It's just something we should put on our to-do list. We did, I think, Tom, during the year time skip off, there was a lot like kingdom-related decision-making and stuff we wanted to do. We also maybe wanted to take the opportunity to kind of more fully explore some of the tiles that we kind of neglected because of the feeling rushed with the whole Lich situation. So we kind of glossed over a few kind of interesting points of interest along the way and stuff. Those are kind of things we might want to like kind of double back on. It doesn't have to be today. It doesn't even have to be Sunday. Just at some point before we, kind of hit the on switch for the next quote unquote like main quest.
Before the next bear is poked.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fair.
So we're not exactly doing a time skip or anything like that. We're just not doing them. We're doing side quests.
Kind of. And there's always that, like, in the back of everyone's heads, you all realize there is a button you can press called Fast Travel 1 year forward, and then we will quickly tell the audience what the hell happens in Concordia for a year, and then the next bad thing happens.
Cool.
Till then, if you guys would rather have some breathing room to bop around the Stolen Lands, that can also be done.
Do a little
play the inverted Song of Time, if you will.
Yeah.
a little callback to book 1 when things were so simple.
So simple. Oh shit! Water. The Inquisitor drowns.
So what do we do about the bandits?
Do we hang them? I don't know. Let's deliberate on it for 4 hours.
Oh yeah.
Good times.
How do we cross this river? Flies over.
Yeah,
Why is the river also flying? Oh no! There's just someone there to cast Control Water just to have the river always match Arcturus's height.
Do we have any better solutions to the Fangberries at this point, though, or does that bush still just kick our asses?
I mean, your strength went up by 8. You're good.
No, we'd roll nat ones on the bush for sure and still get all cut up. Yeah.
Quickly replaces the Tiger Lords with a bunch of animated bushes. It's real terrifying. It's like Plants vs. Zombies.
You know what I do think we should check out now that, 3 out of the 4 of us can fly. I'm saying this out of character because no one in the room is supposed to, other than the High Council, is supposed to know I can fly. That too. Okay. Is that quicksand where we found that creature that we should totally
Our Arbiter almost did it.
We could totally scout that check that area out more now that we can just kind of fly over the quicksand. So
And Senia is both strong enough and fast enough that she can keep up with you guys flying almost. And like
Do-
her ability to jump should be pretty.
Question.
Yes.
Do horseshoes of Zephyr work over quicksand?
they should work.
Ooh.
She bought some magical horseshoes for Grom, where he now does he floats.
He's a hover horse.
He's a hover horse. Yeah.
Hoover horse. Okay, fair. You said that, and I'm like, can you? Technically, you have hoofs sometimes. Can you put horseshoes on yourself? I guess you can. I guess they would just be reflavored anklets. I don't know, but point is, yeah, sure, flying horse, hooray.
Technically, Senya's faster than Grom, out of armor, but in armor, Grom's
That's fair.
faster. So
Yeah, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
because that Rough Rider archetype lets Grom wear medium barding without any movement penalty, which is super sick.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's okay. Cool. So we're gonna check out some cool points of interest. Check out a troll lair, but we'll do that in a later session because Escrow doesn't have his character sheet ready.
Let me build my gun, man.
Damn
It's
it,
coming.
get it together.
He's trying. We keep having existential crises about ghosts and the ethics of slaughtering people.
I want to go back to my workshop.
Wait, don't you want to have a say in who becomes general and why it should be Bakken?
Yeah.
No,
Well,
we can go to
we're not making the general decision at the. I just got everyone's resumes at this meeting. It'll be the next time we convene. We'll make that decision. I'm not ready. We're not ready to name a name yet. I think I know who everyone in the council's vote goes to. I know all the non-PC council members are basically voting for themselves. So that's basically that's a wash. Like you guys are basically throwing your votes away. So it's going to come down to the.
In
although
COVID times, we need minimum 3 months to go through these resumes.
Yeah. God damn it.
You don't know who
I
I'm
can't
going to
be in
vote for.
quarantine the whole time.
I have no idea.
In character I don't, but out of character you spoiled it earlier this session.
I don't think there was any suspense there.
Yeah, no, not even.
You said it in your reflection, I think.
Maybe.
With that said, yeah, so on the matter of general, because I know y'all are okay. This is back in character. This is Kato now talking. On the matter of the general, interest has been noted. We will deliberate on the matter.
I'd
Hopefully
like to
can
throw
come
my
to-
hand into the hat.
Can come to a decision. We will come to a decision which is hopefully in the best interest of all parties involved and the overall benefit of the kingdom. So please refrain from negging any of the council regarding the decision. The decision will be made when it is made, and all I ask is that everyone exercises patience.
They all kind of nod.
Cool. Then don't nag the council members was more directed to our GM than anyone else. Because if another NPC shows up and nominates themselves, I'm gonna lose it.
Oleg kicks down the door. Hey, wait a minute! I didn't like you guys at first, but now I have a totally different voice and a crossbow.
I want to be
Generalship.
general. Oleg for general.
For a great
Oh,
low rate you
yeah.
can get online, go to the general and save some time.
God damn it.
God damn it.
I was hoping someone would get that. Whoop! I grabbed the wrong thing. I realized the map is all like constantly out of sorts, and I'm trying to slowly pick up the pieces.
Nice.
So I think I know how to fix the roads. See where that black
shit.
road is kind of like off kilter a little bit?
That's
I
what
feel
I'm
like
trying
it's
to-
supposed to that point's supposed to be like at that Oleg's post trading post point.
Yeah.
Can we just
Everybody needs to
can we just redraw the roads because they're kind of janky as it is? I think we might be able to, just like how we kind of redrew the borders, nice and crisp.
Sure.
Probably do.
Nice
it's
and crisp.
nice and crisp borders. Good job, Zeresh, Ionia, whatever. You did a.
Good job,
Whatever.
someone.
Whatever you call yourself.
You've got a good eye.
I'm so
for that
flattered
kind of thing.
that after all these years of knowing me, you still know who I am.
To be fair, you did change your
Truly
online
impressed.
tag.
Like many times, yeah. Oh,
I
can I-
think we should
can I-
once.
Can I call you Kata?
There we go.
Please no.
Cataclysm. God.
So, are we going to discuss, like, in private, the issue of the general, or
Yes. Yeah, we're not going to debate it openly with the applicants. That would be crazy.
That'd be rude.
I think we should do it. I'll get the snacks.
Nah. With that said, so I've gone through the 3 points that I wanted to discuss here. Did anyone have any other matters to bring up to
What
the?
is our plan for dealing with Dazia?
Oh yeah. So, well, she was captured. Oh shit! That's why I summoned the ghost, because I was going to ask him, what do the Tiger Lords do to prisoners? God damn it! I didn't ask him the question.
Now I have hurt feelings, and I will not help you.
Remember when I
Oh.
said we should use all of the tools in our toolbox, and everyone was like, "No, that seems really dumb. Why would we do that?"
No, I didn't. Come on! Now you're putting words in my mouth.
That's exactly how I remember it.
Anyway, I did actually. This is what happens when we cut an RP session at the end of next session and pick it up. I could forget what I was going to say in the previous. My fault. I should have made notes or something.
And there was
Whatever.
something else. There was something at the end of last session. I had said we need to remember something that I now don't remember.
You should have wrote it down too.
I
Either way.
probably did it. Discord.
Either way, I don't know. Whatever. So Tiger Lords have her prisoner. I guess maybe she's mad. She's very mad. Like she's very magical. Maybe the hags or whoever these dark magical controlling entity beings that are influencing them have some use for her. I don't know. It's all assumption. I'm just making assumptions at this point. I have no way of knowing what they could possibly have taken her prisoner for, considering they don't tend to be the take prisoners kind of people, right, Senya?
Clearly not.
So the fact that they took her is very, from everything I know about this tribe, seems very out of character for them to take a prisoner instead of just dispatching her there and then at the scene of the battle. So who knows? But maybe our spy master can do a little reconnaissance.
Ugh.
Yeah, I could probably scry Dazia.
Oh shit! You have that. You have.
That would have been the thing to do instead of sending Senya out, probably.
This is the.
Oh yeah.
You can actually do scrying now, like not object reading, but actual scrying.
I can do both.
I know, but remember before
I can
we were
also
like,
read blood now.
oh, that's unsettling.
Yeah.
I didn't realize we were recruiting blood priests.
Well, I mean, we've had one from the beginning.
We should probably also
Yeah.
discuss the Fae that live within our borders. There are some amongst them that are... He, leans in really hard, grabs what he's drinking, chugs it down. Suing for citizenship within Concordia. Perish the thought.
Really?
They have nowhere else to go. Some of them have how do I say this? Understand that we live in a society and that's how society functions. Some of them have just found abandoned homes or trees or both and decided they live there.
Yeah, that is definitely an issue. More than them suing for citizenship, just squatting in areas claiming that as their that cannot. I think, and Arcturus can agree that is not something that we can allow to continue.
There were a couple of sprites said they had what was the exact word? Something about how they represented a certain group and they would see to it you were paid tax. Arcturus, do you have any idea what they're talking about? They seemed very insistent, and I seemed very not wanting to deal with them that moment, so I just let it fly. Pun not intended.
So,
Out of
want to pay tax?
character. Do I remember this?
Yes, this is when they dumped all the nuts and leaves and stuff on your face.
Oh, that was their payment of taxes.
Tax!
Oh my god, I love
Yes. I'll be honest, I have some concerns about the potential for our new residents to, I don't know, acclimate to our way of living.
They've been you can cut the pleasantries, Arcturus. I know the very thought of these creatures loitering and meandering around the village, harassing our people, even the relatively harmless ones, committing, pranks. This is
You can
not
see his fist clench.
yeah. This is not the image of Concordia that we envisioned, not anywhere close. These creatures, obviously, they do not belong here. Do we know if these events that are occurring right now, is this like a new like permanent state that we're going to have to be dealing with for a long time, or is this
planes?
Yeah. History would also be good here.
Even if I roll a 20, I can't beat that, so.
Yeah, I'm not.
You can roll it.
Which one?
History.
History? Well, it's not that, but I guess I'll roll it.
I guess I could also use the book on that.
Yeah.
Ooh. Sorry, I have to. Warning you all in advance.
Not like this.
Not like this! I'm tempted to, like, screw with my RAM just so my computer craps out. We can't all... Good!
Well, rip me. These are not of any noble house.
Okie dokie, so... The easy one is the planes check. And the answer, though it is a mechanically a success, it's very vague and who knows. There are a couple of precedents throughout Galarian where this has happened before. In some cases, it was this way for a couple of weeks and then everybody went home and it was fine. In some cases, some speculate this is how the Forest of Spirits in Tian Sha came into being and still is today. The bloom is going to be here for as long as it's going to be here, and even after the planes like unhook, that doesn't mean there won't be a bunch of displaced Fae in the process.
Is that how some of the
Minoru is pretty sure that Bork.
Is that how are these types of things how like gnomes came to be in this realm, like some sort of like crossing over and then getting stranded?
Yeah. Oh, it's also how Arbiter got here in the first place. He crossed over or was sent over and then couldn't get back. Lots of one-way tickets to the Stolen Lands.
Okay, well,
I mean, good. Only a couple of weeks then. That's good news.
we have a few options. We can route them all from our borders, or at least from our towns, if they want to exist, if they want to set up little camps or communities out in the plain areas. I think that is acceptable. But within the cities, within the towns, I mean, we have to protect our citizens, and they, you can hear the angry mobs out there crying for us to do something about these creatures that are, pranking their businesses and damaging their homes and, just making themselves a general nuisance. And if this is going to be something that's long term, we need a long term solution, and it might be just
they become citizens.
Can they though? Can they will they be able to integrate into a orderly society? Question.
To follow our laws and be punished accordingly if they don't, but I don't think it would be correct to tell them that they're not welcome to try to integrate into our society.
Also, in so doing, two distinct things are going to happen. The first, considerably more innocuous, is you're going to piss off a lot of creatures that normal weapons will bounce off of. The second, and Bakken just like again face palms real hard. So the thing about the Fae is they're made of mostly the same stuff that you and I are made of. It's more of the way their brains are wired. The way it's like the nature versus nurture argument, but nature and nurture are both the same and distinctly different in our case. They could interpret what you're saying as a practical joke. You exile them from our lands and they think of it as a strange game of hide and seek. And remember, where these come from, there is no death. You simply reincarnate.
So,
I'm not saying exile from our realm entirely. I mean, that would be a little harsh, but I think removing them from the city limits. I mean, are these creatures used to living in like man-made like cities and buildings, or do they live in the nature? Do they live in the wild?
It comes and goes depending on the particular variety. Some of them are basically just you and I with, he kind of like looks over at Senia and then, well, okay, maybe with horns is not quite the exact analogy I want to draw right now. Some of them actually, fun fact, there is a subspecies of sprite that was cursed by one of the eldest, I don't remember, cursed to never be able to find shelter inside or outside, and so they literally must take shelter under the eaves of houses or under porches, things like that, just finding loopholes and cheating, basically.
Yikes, that's a shitty curse.
It is, too.
I believe the role of counselor is Jubilost, and it seems particularly fitting for him in this matter, since he's got ties to the Fae himself, being a gnome. Jubilost, do you have any input on this?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. As he looks up from, like, he's been kind of, like, jotting down notes as y'all have been talking. So, on the one hand, my lord, you are correct. They are... It's like having a mischievous little cousin, you see. Except with stabbing sometimes. It's a whole thing. That said, you should at least extend the proverbial olive branch. Worst case scenario, there's probably a slight amount of miscommunications teaching the rules to people. Gamify it if you can. It's imagine they're children, but children with the capacity to kill a man. Yes, exactly. It's very terrifying. That said, if they prove a nuisance, it would not be the kindest thing you ever did to say, please get away from our homes. But it would stop property damage, cow tipping, and other shenanigans. And I believe the, how do I put this? The humanoids would be happier if that happened by and large. If nothing else, there's been a lot of change recently. Most people are trying to get the weeds out of their gardens and their cellars and their bedrooms as well.
Mm-hmm. So, I agree, it wouldn't be the nicest thing to do. Sometimes a line needs to be drawn between doing the nice thing and doing the right thing when it comes to protecting our citizens.
What if we create a new settlement in the forest, maybe, where they might be more comfortable and can live a little more how they're used to?
All who desire the freedom of nature are welcome in the Nile marshes.
Senya's realm of command now.
It's not the worst idea I've ever heard, though. Yes. They are part of the kingdom.
I must insist it must not be forced. Forcing an exile never leads to good things.
Oh, I agree. It would be strictly by choice. However, any Fae or non-Fae who wishes to be a Concordian citizen must abide by our rules.
Sure. I will not exile I will not condone the exile of a creature simply because of what they are. Certainly the offer will be made to voluntarily relocate. However, I will have no hesitation to enact exile for any who choose to stay and are unable to integrate and follow the laws of our towns. In which case, if they are given the opportunity and that opportunity is squandered, then I will not hesitate to forcefully relocate any who cannot.
That is a measured approach that I believe Abadar would approve of.
And perhaps Jubilost can host meetings where you can maybe keep them informed as to the laws of Concordia as well as the rules of the material plane.
How to get along with the big people.
Exactly.
Yes, splendid.
Right then, Buck.
It might not be a bad idea as well to hold similar meetings for those of us who are less familiar with the Fae, how to get along with them.
How to get along with the butterfly people.
Yes.
2 chapters. Wow, you've already got 2 separate volumes.
Generally speaking, it just means don't fucking stab each other. But intricacies. You know, actually, it's a little morbid, but threatening violence will often do it. Again, they see it as a game, yes? They do not understand you're actually playing, and certainly I don't think any of you would go slaughtering these creatures wholesale. But just the it's like, well, Perlavash, and he comes flying over. Do you remember when you had our good king step in the excrement of, what was it a deer? Yes, indeed. By putting an illusion on top of them, and then you kind of just harassed them to try to get a response. Yes? And Perlavash nods emphatically, and the nostalgia hits him like a truck. Do that! Give them what they're looking for. They'll go away. They'll go about their business, and then they come back and threaten violence upon them. Off they go. Certainly we don't have anything like an Anko or a boogeyman that we know of. Everyone, do check under your beds this evening. It's very important. As Jubilost kind of like immediately blanches again.
I mean, if things, get completely out of control, a more permanent, I guess, response would be if, we could find some way to, would like a ward against chaos over, like, work in the settled areas?
Could work, yes.
That does
Just
feel very flavorful for us.
Yeah, it does. But I'm talking as a sort of a
Was that an in-character
and-
comment? Okay.
It's very flavorful. But yes, it's something that could be explored as sort of a nuclear option.
You keep
There's
using
some way-
this word. What are you talking about?
I don't know.
You see, when an alchemist hits 10th level, they might as well be throwing nukes. It's a whole thing. And actually, fun fact, if you go one province over from where we are in the setting, yes, you can go get nukes. They are, make a knowledge and engineering check. I'm not kidding. I swear to God, I'm...
Oh, wait. Senya. Or not Senya. Ionia. Yeah, there it is.
Holy frack.
Holy moly.
My girl. Okay, so... Yeah, no, there are things... This is a point that we could talk about now. Actually, we've kind of memed into the meta, so that's good. Good for us. The province over from the River Kingdoms, Numeria, there's a lot of stuff there that folks don't know what is. As a quick sidebar, I'm looking over at Ionia's new art and remembering the headband you're wearing had little holes in it for things to pop out of. They were definitely not made for dragon horns, but that could function.
Oh, nice.
Boom! We did it! Anyway, things that are like constructs that are way too smart, weapons that are way too powerful, they're generally hoarded by a faction of wizards known
Brotherhood of Steel?
Basically, yeah. The Technic League might as well be the Brotherhood of Steel. Their whole shtick is, that's real cool, I don't want you to have it because you could hurt me with it. Give me all of it. And then we're going to learn how to replicate it in a world that, technologically speaking, is somewhere in the, 1500s-ish, depending on where you land. up to and including the ability to make something as big as a like Chelish man of war fly. There are some places on Galarian where this can be done with like helium in a balloon to carry it, but those things are unwieldy and like dangerous as fuck. You run into one dragon and it pokes one hole in the thing, and whoopsie doo, you're not getting the insurance claim won't look good for you. Also, you probably died.
Turns into a Hindenburg.
Bam, with that noise. But it was brought up last session. If an airship is something y'all are looking to get at, Numeria is the place to start. And then the immediate wall you run into is that if the Tiger Lords are running to Numeria to lick their wounds, and Dugoth had said to Cato to try to rearm and re-up, it's not uncommon for Kelids to, though several of the cultures, the Black Stags, if they ever crossed into Numeria, probably, like many of the Kelid tribes, see these ruins as like mega taboo. But that doesn't mean that folks don't go in there trying to attain power and then come out with the things like Artoris carries into battle, but fire much quicker, much farther, and sometimes fire things that aren't bullets. Do with that knowledge as you will. Knowledge checks in the 40s are fun.
Wow, Ionia, that's so interesting that you shared all that information with us.
Off the top of it. That's what comes to mind.
Yeah, just what we're talking, airships and laser guns.
For those who are interested.
I may be.
Pew pew. As long as you say pew pew every time you roll your attack dice.
Swords that indeed can generate fields of plasma that can cut through anything lightsabers exist in Pathfinder. I'm just floating. It'd be bad for Cato. He'd lose like half his class features, but there are no Aldori lightsabers.
Aw, that's fine. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know about, super hokey pokey weapons, but the idea of an airship definitely does pique my interest. So yeah, maybe Ionia sends some scouting parties out west to see if we can pick up a lead on Dazia. Could also.
Why don't we have something that belongs to her, right?
Oh yeah, almost certainly. It's in the same way that like if you needed some of Cato's DNA, you could have like gone into his chambers and like pulled a hair out of his brush and you're good. You could just go grab like a shed scale.
I'd rather give her my tunic that's covered in blood and gore. That was way more.
Are we going to do that now?
We should scry Dazia. I mean, I think,
okay. I was just making sure we were doing that in the presence of the whole.
Does it matter?
No,
Well,
I was
we
just-
would need to. We
We'll
would
need
need
to
to retrieve something of hers, so we
Right.
would need to go visit the Iruka.
Well, I need to. Well, because I had two other things that I wanted to discuss before we ended the council meeting.
Okay, Artoris, you have the floor.
So, first and foremost, I wanted to thank the rest of the council for enduring this trying time. I am sure, particularly during the darkest points, it would have been very tempting to, get the hell out of here. And truly, I am thankful, we are all thankful that you chose to stay and fight the good fight of civilization and providing a better life for those out here. So, as a preliminary matter, I did want to say that much.
Everyone nods, smiles. They feel heard, and it's great.
And
Validation.
I also wanted to say, a separate matter, I noticed somewhat unusually that Grinluke's body is still interred in my temple. I would ask that we begin making preparations to have him properly buried in the Keston Memorial Cemetery. If there are no objections, I would like to begin that process immediately.
I still would hope that we can bring him back eventually.
What do you...
How long does that spell on the body last?
I think it's 30 days.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Should be quite a while. It won't last the entire time skip, but it'll last a while.
If we reach the point without doing a time skip where that would be an issue, let me know, because I do have another solution.
The
Fair.
nuclear option?
Nuke his body.
Well, no. So,
Oh, hold on.
I guess
Sorry, 1 sec. Was that the last matter, Artoris?
well,
So you
I
had
was responding to his matter. I don't exactly have an objection with him being buried, so long as we are not giving up on trying to restore him.
The man fought and died in the service of Abadar. His soul has been freed. Why would we continue to our efforts to bring him back?
Well, see, that's the great thing about resurrection is they have to agree to it. It has to be their desire. So should he wish to continue to pass on to whatever awaits him beyond the boneyard, then he will have the opportunity to walk that path regardless of any efforts we make. But should he feel that his
On what?
Grinluke once did what he could to protect my life. I would like to return the favor.
Once again, the choice will end up being Grinluke's and Grinluke's alone. We're just giving him the option that if he did feel like he had unfinished business here, he would have the opportunity.
I worry about setting the precedent that our friends get a second chance at life, but the other third of our population that was decimated on that day is left to rot.
I was a member of the council.
Artoris, yes, but there's also not all the lives of all of our citizens hold value, but some hold, I won't say greater value because that's not true, but I would say more strategic value to the long-term success of this kingdom. Losing Grinluke would be just as much of a tragedy as losing any member of Concordia. But as far as our efforts to build Concordia and make Concordia stronger, losing Grinluke does carry with it greater weight.
Artoris is clearly unsatisfied with what you've said.
With that said, we are not necromancers. We are not Vorticai. We're not going to force him back into a form and to do our bidding. He will have every opportunity to either accept or reject this offer, but he deserves to be given the choice, and that is all we are giving him.
You say he
choice.
deserves.
I would remind you
How
that
did
he had a separate mission with the church that he had postponed in order to help us.
That is
And?
true. And his duty to them may yet be unfulfilled.
I am sure everyone that lies dead from that day had unfulfilled business.
Unfulfilled business in the service of your deity?
In the direct service. He was a Knight of the Coin, was he not?
Abadar does not do charity, and he rewards those that serve him, as I'm sure Grinluke has been rewarded.
We're not talking about charity. He did his best to protect me. I failed to protect him.
Regardless, unless
If it is a personal debt that you feel, then I begin to understand, but a debt on behalf of the kingdom, I feel that the precedent is it makes me feel uneasy.
sometimes we need to make the uneasy decisions if those decisions are in the best interest of our future, which I believe having Grinluke back among us, should he desire to be so, is in the best interest of this kingdom.
It's not his desire that I'm concerned about. I'm sure plenty of people that died that night would desire to be here if they had the choice.
I'm sure they would, and
Unfortunately, we can't.
council member.
We cannot give everyone that choice. We simply do not have the means to do it. We do have the means, however, to grant it to a select few at this time. And so, unfortunately, as much as it may pain you, as much as it may pain me, and it may seem unfair to those who are not selected, it is the reality of the situation, and reality is oftentimes not fair. And I have a cat that is knocking over dishes.
Cats. Wait, where's Achilles? Oh no. Oh no! Conspiracy!
Again, Artur is visibly unsatisfied, visibly not on board with the logic, but is done pushing the issue.
Cato nudges Arturus a couple times, says, "Hey, maybe someday we'll be able to resurrect whoever we want."
Don't you make your meta jokes here.
Yeah, not him. He's well, I guess his template makes that a lot easier. I forgot. Like, no, he's a fucking spontaneous caster. He's not gonna burn his limited spell slots on that. What's wrong with you? Oh wait. Yeah. Soon.
Oh yeah.
Very soon. Template.
All right.
I'll just give Kato an appreciative nod for backing me up there.
Of course. I mean, I did it for Grinluke, but I'll take it.
I'll take the nod.
I'll take the nod.
Take the W.
We don't always, Ioni and I don't always see eye to eye, and sometimes, but I feel like we do on this one, which I'm glad that we're in agreement here. And Arturus, we agree on most things these days. We're not going to agree on everything, and I'm willing to accept that, and I'm sure he's willing to concede that he's not always going to get his way. That is life.
I like how you easily slept that, or not slept that, but put that see eye to eye in there. I don't know if that one was intentional.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
but
fair. Okay, so then Arturus had one more thing.
Nope, that's both things.
Oh, the thank you was a whole thing.
It was a whole thing, yeah.
Well,
Anybody else got anything to bring forth to the council? I'm trying to think.
if not, I think we will.
Sure, we can't stretch this meeting out for the final hour.
Well, no, that's what we're going to do. We're going to dismiss the council. We're going to go and fetch an article of Dazia's.
All right, sounds good. I'm just, other than, hey, we should probably get a general to protect our borders, and what are we going to do with the hundreds and hundreds of Fae that are running around? That's all they have to bring. So I'm going to, we don't usually play this late. I need to quick bio, and then I will be right back. Okay, bio over. Hooray for Tommy. I also realized I had to feed my cat, so that's the thing. But fun. So Dazia had I guess a place to keep her stuff. Not really a house, but just like things she wouldn't want to carry with her constantly. It's easy enough to go to that place, find something recent for the scrying material. Y'all go to wherever it is Ionia casts this, wherever the mirror or water is.
Oh, Tuskwater.
We're just gonna do it super publicly.
Well, like, the fort is up on it's right on the edge
I
of
probably
the.
have at this point I have a workshop somewhere we've discussed. I probably have scrying stuff in there.
A big bowl of water.
Yeah.
That
Sure.
would certainly do
I
it.
have an indoor fountain.
Why did you have that put in?
Yeah, I don't think so, lady. That didn't get you didn't get sign off to have that installed.
That's where her wealth by level went.
Yeah, giant ass fountain.
I guess you probably want like a thing, huh?
No, it comes from me, actually. I just need to double check.
There's no I don't make any rolls or anything.
It's a
for
secret
that.
roll.
Yeah, I make a will save.
Oh, okay.
I have a neg on it because you know the person pretty well and have their stuff. Nevertheless, I mean, there's a chance. The hour that it takes to generate the magic passes the pool of water in which we are casting this into, begins to shimmer with that bright silvery light and then slowly fade as the spell fails.
Well, when Vorticai tried to scry Arcturus, it failed that little pop feeling in his head, but then he just tried again, right? And it worked. So
It did, but he wasn't supposed to be able to. I think it's supposed to have a 24-hour cooldown if it fails.
And just out of curiosity, this is just straight against my my DC. There's like I can't like sudden insight this to make it better or anything, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Unless you have something that increases your caster level or things like that.
increase anything that would
Oh, I
increase
do
the
actually
DC.
have something that increases my caster level, but it should already be updated on my sheet, so the DC would be 22.
Fair. So it does still indeed not fire.
All right, try again tomorrow, I guess. Unfortunate, but this is probably our best bet, is to try to fire this off each day until we can get it to stick.
Well, while we're in here, do we want to do anyone else? Do we want to try Old Man Sicarius or
Ooh, do your
my dad?
dad.
Okay. That one I don't need to roll for. Unless Zeresh feels that Ionia's father would have enough class levels to realistically be able to resist you.
That would be entirely up to you.
Oh, nice. Your father, the very powerful man who's left you in the woods to die so many times. No. You do the same thing. You fire up that bright blue light, and the spell succeeds. So then, at first you're like, there is a general perplexion in your head, and I guess real quick, has anyone other than wording it that way felt weird? Has anyone else met Ionia's family?
Or Taurus has.
Yo.
Okay, so for the pair of you, it's first real jarring that the sensor is pinging down on someone who's like head to foot wrapped in like green and brown robes covering almost everything except for their eyes. Like, no, wait, this can't be right. And then you begin to scan around, notice you are looking down upon just like, you can only see out 10 feet. But you see enough of just windswept grasslands, a couple of other horses moving close by, your father like on a horse in a convoy. The people on either side of him dressed in a similar fashion, but there are bows on their backs and these really like light lances in sheaths on the saddle. He doesn't seem to be aware that he has been scryed and seems to be like moving under his own power.
Since my
Sure.
For a hunch.
Sometimes I wish insight was a thing.
I'm gonna set an insight.
Can I see this?
Yeah, everybody
It's
can.
yeah.
Reflecty Pool has the image. Okay, so quick knowledge, history, or geography.
Can I do that too?
Yeah. All four of you, if you are present in the room, you can see what they're looking at.
Can I? Did I already use my hero point? I'm gonna use my hero point on that.
Sounds good.
That didn't help.
Womp womp.
Well, worse.
I'm rolling so bad today.
I've rolled a 1 and a 3, I think.
That's a good session to get those out of the way. Nothing super bad's happening. Just need to quickly grab where exactly on the board this is. I'm pretty sure I know where it is. I just want to be entirely correct. Oh, wait, the map is on the front page. A buddy of mine bought me this book when he went to a game store and there were a bunch of P1 books, like or not PDFs, but like hard copies that were all 50% off. So I'm getting a real one soon, but not
Nice.
quite yet. Okay, so let me get a geography as well. Geography is good here too. There you go. There you go. Go bam. So the rolling grasslands, the way folks are dressed, the scale mail that gleams in the sun on some of these riders that like have these big bulky robes over top of it, but occasionally it shifts and then like the sun shines down on this dude's mithril scale mail and it shines back. Your father has come a very, very long way, it seems, most likely having joined a trade caravan from somewhere in Brevoy, crossing through Eobaria and down into the continent of Casmaron, somewhere within the Padishah Empire of Kelish. Why is harder to say. I guess with the sense motives, it's like the first thing that comes to mind is things are going bad in Brevoy. It's time to get the hell out of Dodge. That sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I can dig that.
The map is not perfect, but I will screen cap the map as it appears in my PDF of Distant Shores, with you guys being right about the weird body of water in Avestan, the little tiny one. That's the Lake of Mists and Veils. So that's basically right, like y'all are right under that.
Where are we?
Stand by, I'm putting it in private.
Oh, okay.
God damn it. I just saw that. It is cool though. Bam! So like that little teeny tiny dot right by where it says Avestan is the Lake of Mists and Veils. Dad is somewhere to the south of that big body of water.
Where are we?
Just kind of
We're
barely
south.
under, like I said, that like very tiny, like straight to the right of the inn in Avestan, and then there's that body of water, and just a little down from there.
Cool. Man, Concordia is not even on the map. Gotta
I know,
fix
right?
that.
Boo.
Let's put us on the map, guys.
You said he's heading in the direction of Casmaron, right?
Or he is in the continent of Casmaron. The
In
vast
the continent. Okay.
Yeah, he's essentially gone, because this is a map of the world that looks different. If y'all live in Hungary, he has moved to like Armenia, that kind of
He's not
area.
on the wall.
Yeah, he has.
I was thinking he was still in Eobaria.
Not quite. From the look of it, he's joined. It might be a like northern Casmaron was never really like conquered by the Padishah Empire. More so the nomadic tribes that live between there and Eobaria were just kind of appeased, I guess. They are given tribute. They are given positions of like honor and distinction in the Empire's military when such time comes, right? But they maintain, by and large, their autonomy to follow game throughout the grasslands, to move to like sacred locations throughout the year, so on and so forth.
And do the colors he's wearing mean anything to me? Is there any like crest or anything that I would recognize?
No crest. The colors are probably important. It's when these guys go to war, it's a bunch of people moving really, really fast, shooting at each other. So like in that quick heat of the moment, it's like, do I shoot the guy wearing green or the guy wearing blue? Go, that kind of thing. But you don't really recognize any of it. He's probably wearing them as a function of like blending in, though certainly he himself having gone to a different continent and area of rulership, he's not in any particular danger for having done so. The Empire, by and large, keeps to itself. The only real exception is its province the farthest west, Qadira, would really, 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 really like to invade Taldor. There have been a lot of aggressions back and forth on the border, especially recently, but like for that past couple thousand years. Basically, exactly how it looked like between the Byzantines and the Ottomans.
You're saying there was real world inspiration for some of this?
Yeah, it's like you could go a little farther south of there and you'd be in fucking ancient Egypt. You go a little farther west to where you are now and you'll meet the Baba Yaga. I'm not even
It
kidding.
can't be right.
It can't be. Rain of winter, Rasputin. But we digress. He seems safe. He's literally a I forget which mystery, but he's an oracle. He has stats, and I won't tell you why he has stats, but he does.
Wow.
Dad seems fine though. If he's out of Restov, he's probably out of reach of anyone who would like use him to get to you, unless they are like they'd have to go a long way to do so, and then you do run into that like political provocations, I guess. If Vorticai teleporting into the borders of a nation state and attacking y'all is one thing, if the Isians were to send a bunch of mages teleporting into anywhere in the Empire where almost certainly you would immediately trip like an alarm and detect magics would go off, it'd be a huge scandal and who knows what would happen.
Well,
And exposition. I could go on about Pathfinder's lore forever and ever if you let me. I have to make myself stop.
Well, I appreciate. I mean, it's interesting. Don't get me wrong. Love it, but yes, cool. Well, Ionia, it looks like that's good news for you. At least, in the father being not in mortal peril.
Yeah,
way.
it definitely makes me more open to the previous discussed plan.
Father was always wise.
Got the hell out of Dodge when the Dodge got hellish.
Okay, I suppose exposition not quite over. The Padishah Empire of Kelish is a very, very rich empire. They sit along and they kind of founded it as they conquered the biggest land trade route on Galarian. So Dad's probably looking, assuming he doesn't get like shot or abducted or perhaps both, probably gonna have a better life at the end of it. So that's good.
So,
Well, being a priest in Port Ice probably wasn't the happiest life.
being anyone in Port Ice, probably not the happiest life.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Screw that place.
Well, I mean that's my home, but okay.
I'm sorry.
Rude.
My
I mean,
condolences.
you don't pick them. Like,
You're not wrong.
okay. Is this scrying like one of your spell slots?
That was 2 of them.
Out of how many?
3.
Do you need that spell slot for anything else?
Today, probably not.
Can we
Unless
Mordecai up here?
unless I need to echolocate anything, or unless we plan on being.
I want you to do my pappy now.
Wait a minute. How are you seeing into that pool?
Tommy said everyone can see.
Yeah. He got me too. I'm like, I said that. That's how it works. That's how this all works. Fantasy game.
Is it how it works? That's what you said.
It literally is, yeah. She is casting it on a reflective surface and it displays the image. Very like Mum-Ra and the Thundercats.
I explained it really well to you.
I have.
Oh, Mind's Eye. That's right.
Mind Eye.
Forgot about your
Oh,
cheat code.
I got it. How are you seeing it? Oh,
God damn it.
I thought you were talking to. I thought you were talking to me. And how are you seeing this, Kato? You weren't the one casting the spell.
Oh
but-
no, I'm sorry.
No,
Okay,
you guys need to just learn that I have an answer for everything.
She is an occultist. She does have an answer for everything. That class is fucking good. Fucking good. Okay, so last but not least, Saul Sicarius.
I've been waiting a long time to see what Pops is up to.
Alrighty, let me. Do you think he would reasonably have a chance of beating a DC 22 will save?
Considering that would be his. Oh. Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, cool. Considering based on how I imagine his character sheet looking, that would probably be his worst save. He'd need a probably close to a nat 20 to pass it.
Okay. Fair
I
enough.
imagine.
We're getting down to important plot things, so I had to excuse myself from the banter because I'm just watching the wall of cinnamon rolls and thinking about
I got distracted.
Yeah, that needs to be like a post game thing.
I mean, I'm probably going to the store and buying things I shouldn't, like right after this. Thanks.
Sorry.
No, don't be. I have no impulse control and love sweets. Anyway, so the scrying goes off. Where do There's like 5 possible places Saul could be right now. Where do I want him to be? Is he at position? Do I go with my gut? He's pooping. Rude. You watch.
When in doubt, roll it out.
When in doubt, roll. Yeah, fair. We'll let the D4 decide. You don't want to see a 4. Okay. Saul Sicarius is sitting. What time of day we do this? Final question.
I think it's like late midday-ish, like early afternoon.
Early, right?
Yeah, and the meeting went pretty long. I imagine it's like, and then we went and got Dazia's
late afternoon.
Yeah.
He is. The sensor can pick up. Perception check.
I feel good.
That's a stat I actually have. It's not great, but it's
Jesus.
Oh jeez.
48. Holy God.
That's almost a 50. God, what have I done?
It's not even like that.
What you rolled a 7? No, you rolled a 17. Fair enough. I thought that was a natural 7, resulting in a 48.
The creature you gave Senya just happens to have one of his special abilities is like +9 to perception checks.
So that might hang on really quickly. That's important. If it is a racial bonus to his perception check, Senya gets it. If it would roll perception and have a +9, Senya does not get it.
Ooh.
So, like, for example, I know everyone watching on YouTube is seeing me look at archives in Ethos right now, but to point out how that might translate a little better, a creature that I know has that, Tiger has a... Oh, come on, load faster. You nerd, a +4 racial modifier on acrobatics and a +4 on stealth, +8 in tall grass. So I gave you a Megalosaurus, a big old megafauna elk, basically. Those existed on planet Earth a long, long time ago, and they are terrifying. That has no special skills. Fair. I'll let the big number rides right now. But Saul Sicarius he's in a back alley. There are it's hard to pick up how many people are standing around him. You would say like 6 or 7 as the sensor sweeps, but there are people like out of range, so like you just get like some dude's shoulder. Hard to say. They are all armed, which is a first like red flag, because y'all know from the coming of the Sword Bros that the open carry of swords in Restov has been banned. Can you hear through the sensor? I forget.
Let me ping it real quick.
You can see and hear the subject. Okay, so there are a lot of people are talking at once. Saul is doing his best to try to like get calm, get people quiet, and he just can't seem to pull it off. For every one person he's able to silence, and it's hard to pick out an individual thing said in the din, but for one that goes down, 2 more spring up with different concerns, and it loops ever more. What the people there don't notice and Artoris and Senia do, because Senia would have still had, what, a 39 there, is that there are a couple of, like... He's standing, because you can only see 10 feet. Right over from him, there is, like, a bunch of barrels outside a building, as if he was standing, like, out back of a restaurant kind of thing. There is a shadowy form on the other side of the barrels watching, specifically looking at Saul. You notice the head pop up and kind of, like an ooze, glorping off an ooze to make two oozes, the Oozapalooza, a head emerging out of the shadows and then quickly, like, back down in. No one seems to be aware this is happening.
Shit. So Senya points that out in the illusion, like, hey, look there. Because she's the only one that sees it.
Artoris does too.
Yeah. Oh, Artoris sees it too. Okay. Oh, you roll. Nice.
I imagine Senya and I both sort of are like,
Kato's too busy just, like, looking at his father, like, just happy to see it. Like, oh, look at him. What could he be up to?
Are we able to see it once it's pointed out?
Yeah, once you... Well, rather, no. It's pointed out, you look, you think you might maybe see something, but it mostly just looks like, because truly there are, like, a couple of torches, like, in walls, and there's just a weird trick of the light there.
is there any kind of knowledge that Senya or I could do to try and identify what we're seeing?
Yes, you fought Shadow Dancers before.
Yeah, that's actually where my out-of-character brain immediately went. Son of a bitch. I imagine some form of
This is
spy
like one of
and
those
or
scenes,
assassin. Yeah.
right, where you're like trying to scream to help somebody, but
Yeah.
they can't hear you.
Behind you! Turn around! Yeah. Oh god. And then
Kato's
I
that
take
guy
it.
at the movies.
Yeah. And then I take it. Does the scene like end?
I think
that
this
point?
lasts as long as you want it to. Duration is 1 minute per level, so we have it for 12 minutes. You guys have probably expended about a quarter of that.
He looks to you guys and he, like, just puzzled, like, I just can't do anything. Like, what does this mean? Like, what? I'm sure there's a lot of them there. I'm sure nothing bad is going to happen, like, immediately. Could just be a spy, someone keeping an eye on what's going on.
Why do you think they're armed?
Yeah, that definitely complicates things. Maybe tensions have gotten even tenser.
I'm imagining sense motive on a shadow probably wouldn't do a whole lot.
No, it's very clear he's being watched, and it's pretty clear. There's a little wiggle room on the level of clear of this part, but y'all have dealt with assassins who attacked in a similar fashion before. Y'all know the assassins woke up Vorticai on purpose to try to destabilize the region, and we're just gonna, like, then dip out and take a bunch of money from somebody who'd hired them.
Oh. Huh. Okay. So it could just be a backroom dealing going on right now. I don't know. We don't have enough information. We can speculate and speculate. I'm just gonna have to have faith that, he's, not in any immediate danger. Living in Rostov right now is living in immediate danger every day of the week. So the fact that he's still currently living and breathing is good. Obviously, this is a little concerning, the exact circumstances we're viewing, but I'm not one to jump to panic. So I think I would sit there and continue to walk. Kato would... He's a little sentimental when it comes to his dad and curious about home and what's going on. So I feel like he would wait out the clock until, like, he was the image eventually, like, disappeared of its own time limit. So if anything happens within the 12 minutes, he would observe that. But he would definitely wait out the full duration.
Okay.
What did you say he was doing again?
seems to be just having an argument with people. There are weapons on them, but not drawn. No, it's... Y'all are a little smarter than that. Seems to be they're having a... Best word I can think of right now is like a back alley resistance-y kind of meeting. And a lot of people aren't happy with something, hard to say what. And a lot of, like, Saul seems to be at the head of it. And there are a lot of accusations / questions / things thrown his way, and he's trying to deflect them or ease people. And it seems to be just for every one thing he can answer, there are two more that spring up after it.
Are there any? You said it's a lot of different voices, and it's hard to kind of make heads or tails of anything. At any point over the 12 minutes, does any one singular question kind of seem to like get repeated or come to the kind of become more prominent? Like, is there any one topic or question that or accusation that gets voiced that I would be able to pick out over the course of the time I'm observing?
Chanting.
Yeah, that's fair. You could definitely, in 12 minutes, it never comes up, but it so never comes up that I forget the check that is used to, like, read lips.
Oh, yeah, that is like a thing.
It's either bluff or linguistics, one or the other.
Well, if it's linguistics, I'm good.
And if it's bluff, somebody else is. So either way, you two can figure it out. You can kind of pick up bits and pieces and then read lips for the rest. The general consensus seems to be that Restov no longer has the, like, military might necessary to oppose, like, a direct confrontation from the king. If he wanted to just move forces in and say, this is mine now, he would be able to do it. So badly wounded were the forces in Restov from dealing with the Tiger Lords and a Jabberwock.
Shit. Yeah.
So I think we need to prioritize, which we were already planning on doing, prioritize building our own army, and then as soon as we have the means to, I think we need to follow through on the plan you had mentioned of reaching out to Rostland and trying to ally ourselves with them.
And if Saul is at the head of sort of a, like, I guess you could call it like the remnants of what would have been a resistance force, reaching out to him is probably still the most ideal.
Yeah, more like anybody got like a knowledge marshal or a lore warfare or some kind of check like that.
What is this lore warfare you speak of?
That was released in Pathfinder Unchained. Actually, you can take it. No,
got him.
Bork, this was happening. Get out of here, Minoru. The more accurate thing to say is probably like, you wouldn't say Restov is in a state of anarchy at this time, but the government's not doing great, and folks are just kind of going to the house of the person they trust most with all of their weapons and stuff for when the inevitable bad thing happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we need to accelerate our timetable in this regard a little bit. It seems like we may have less time than I thought, which is fine. We just means we can't lollygag as we tend to do.
No lollygagging. As a quick aside, before this
guard reference.
Yeah, before the scry ends, you do notice it's kind of hard to see at first, and then somebody moves, and you notice the flagstone is pushed up by what appears to be like a tree root that has come up, and nature is reclaiming it. But like there aren't any trees in Restov that are in such a position to do that, and that's when it clicks that certainly the bloom has extended that far as well.
This thing it's far-reaching and treacherous.
And then a fawn steps forward, and she has a dueling sword on her back. Seems to be they're having a similar problem with folks not from here suddenly being from here.
What's a fawn?
Like a centaur, or rather like a satyr, but they are mechanically a little less hit dicey and a little less hedonistic.
I meant visually, but yeah, okay, so like a
Like a satyr.
satyr. Cool. Okay, and then poof, gone. Scrying ending.
The divination eventually ends, yeah. And fade to black.
Oh, it got dark in here.
Well, Ionia, thank you for indulging me in this. Even though the situation looks grim, just seeing my father's face again after all these years and seeing that, he's still in good health is a great relief.
Continue to check in on him.
Though I feel a more permanent insurance of his safety is definitely at the forefront of my mind now. I'm glad to see your.
Definitely agree. And as I mentioned, I had been working on a plan for bringing my father to us. It seems like your father may be in greater need of that, though I'm not sure.
I can't see him abandoning his home. If anything,
Especially with the resistance he seems to be building.
Yeah, he is nothing if not bullheaded when it comes to, defending, what he believes in. He would stand alone against the king's forces. As stubborn as that old man is. So I couldn't see him ever leaving his family home, but I need to do something to ensure his safety. I don't know what that is. I don't know what can be done in this moment, but I have to think of something.
Well, let's focus on getting this letter to him, and perhaps he can let us know what he needs.
That's a good point.
It also, I guess I should say, it dawns on the four of you, kind of at the same time, I guess, that if Restov no longer has the military capacity to defend itself from other folks, it may be considerably easier for, you yourselves to go to the city. That feels very railroady and is not what I'm trying to do, but it dawns on me that we have landed there, and it could be an option.
There was a point where I was much better prepared to do something like that.
But then things changed.
But then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
Hey, I mean, God damn it. I mean, if we deemed it, a calculated risk that, was worth taking, Cato would certainly not oppose a visit himself. He would, I know personally, risks aside, it's something that he would really like to do, but obviously only if it was not, a foolish errand to even attempt it. So it'll come down to calculating that risk, but if it ends up being more feasible than trying to, communicate via correspondence.
We're certainly better equipped to protect ourselves these days, though I imagine...
That's true.
I imagine we probably have pretty big marks around our heads.
Yeah, I would almost... I mean, there's nothing really to hide. I don't want to march. One thing we do not want to do is show up in any capacity that shows we're arriving in some kind, as some kind of force, arriving in force in any way. Having the entirety of the High Council essentially show up at the front gate, especially given our current, conditions, everyone's current gifts, might send the wrong message. I don't know. There's a more subtle way to do that. Probably should consider. But I mean, those are details that we don't have to determine at this moment. Because I honestly don't have an answer right now for any of those questions. Something I will need to deliberate on. We have a lot to think of. How we're gonna. So I'm creating a list here of to-dos, of very important to-dos we establishing a military and appointing a general, figuring out how we're going to communicate with Restov. What else do we have? What else is on our big to-do agenda? We had one other major thing, didn't we? Oh, that's the face situation. How are we going to handle the citizenry? Though we're leaving that to Jubilost, at least for like the
Literally
initial
job.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Jubilost's job, but like he's going to need probably some specific instructing. If we're going to offer them the option of moving into the Gnarl Marshes, he should probably work alongside Senya in that regard to kind of, determine what that looks like specifically. Is that sort of her? She kind of has like, she's sort of the guardian of that area of kind of the wildlands of our kingdom. So I think the two of them should work in consort in that regard.
Seems good. There was also some talk of scouting out towards Numeria.
Yes, that's So we have so yikes, we have a lot of things to do over the course of the next year, don't we, Tommy?
As you do. See why I didn't want to just time skip happened. Now you dragons and robots and the Tiger Lords are attacking. Oh poop.
So where do we want to start, ladies and gentlemen?
First off, has anyone seen Sootscale? Was he at the meeting?
He was not.
We haven't seen him in a while, actually.
You have not. He has not been around.
What? I wasn't.
That's why we need to do roll calls at these meetings, guys. Got to make sure that.
He was one of the ones I specifically, when we came back, I said we need to find. I said I heard Bakken and Jubilost. We need to find Dazia and Sootscale.
Okay, that's nice. I look for Bakken.
Easy enough to find.
Bakken. Have you seen Chief Sootscale around? Where's he?
He shakes his head no.
When was the last time you saw him?
Not long after y'all left. I don't think he's taking it well. You understand me?
I think I do.
Still, I'd like to know where he's at. Parlavash? Is Parlavash around?
If he's not, one of his sub-commanders is.
Hey, buddy. I'll speak Sylvan.
I'll check a fairy dragon spell list to make sure it can do everything I'm advertising it can. Bwang! Can I cast? Yes, silent image over top of me to make me kind of look like a person, and then ghost sound to make person-esque noises. It's good enough.
You want to play a game?
The creature, which its dragon bits are like a brilliant crimson in color, but its wings are as if you just pulled them off a Lunamoth and then stapled them on. It like stands up on its hind legs whilst flying. It kind of like rears up, I guess, and throws back its head, exhales that cloud of euphoria. Seems to be very happy about this.
Alright, it's hide and seek, but it's a little bit different because only one person is hiding, and I want you and your friends all to seek that one person, and whoever finds them, I'll pull out some jerky from my bag, gets this.
The creature immediately flies up into the air, about like 5 minutes pass, and then comes down with like 50 more fairy dragons. They begin just like flying around in circles around you. General 1 or 2 syllable words of excitement. Well, no, I shouldn't do that. A fairy dragon has like 16 int on its own. Lots of big statements of excitement and joy and hooray jerky and what's jerky, and then an explanation of what jerky is in like Draconic and Sylvan and back and forth.
I don't know if they even like it, but I just imagine offering them something is probably enough.
Food?
So I will describe Sootscale. and then kind of give them like a ready, set, go.
And they all explode. No, they kind of do, just taking off in every direction that you can possibly fly in this cascade of discordant rainbows that they are.
I feel like I've done a good thing here today.
Manipulated some fae. Well, let's hope they can find him.
Is this do we want to wait and see if they come back kind of thing?
Think so.
I mean, it depends on how long. Like, I think at this point, Kato's tired. He's probably gonna retire back to the castle. Maybe, handle some personal affairs, and otherwise just kind of ponder what needs to happen next. So if this is if it happens over the course of like the afternoon, then definitely. If it's gonna take like days to find him, then we wouldn't wait. If that makes sense.
I hear you. A lot of time does pass. They don't. From time to time, what is a particularly pretty butterfly? Like, its scales also the color of a monarch butterfly. Just this brilliant orange and black tiger dragon almost comes flying down, lands in front of you. Tries his. Let me look at my blue. He begins to spin a tail out. Yes, find the little guy. The little guy he was in a tree. Why was he in a tree? I don't ask questions. Feed me though. And when it becomes very clear he's lying, and you can fairy dragon sus, he takes off.
Oh, he was lying. What a jerk. See, that's why we can't trust these things.
Bluff is only a +9. I don't think Ionia can fail. Oh, she could have. If you rolled really bad and I rolled really good, but the probability should be so low at this point.
With my sudden insight, my sense motive is 20.
Yeah, exactly. More time passes, no fairy tale creatures appear. Yeah, that's not true. Lots of satyrs and leprechaun and sprites and other things indeed do appear. You notice, I guess, as you're like sitting around waiting, some of them are like street sweeping or in general just picking up trash, tidying up. Like a couple of leprechauns walk past a sign hanging outside of a building. Like somebody's running a small tailor outside of their house just to kind of like make ends meet kind of thing. The sign is a little askew. They stop, fix it, go on about their life.
I guess just for the sake of simplicity, I guess I would have asked the other council members if they knew anything about.
Nobody does. No one has a clue.
No one has seen her.
Why does we can spray on him?
Yeah, good. Okay. There was one I just remembered. It just kind of dawned on me. There was one other thing that Kato wanted to do, but I know I've taken a lot of spotlight tonight, and we got about 15 minutes left, so I can save it until next session if you guys other RPs you wanted to do instead. I don't mind holding mine. It's not time sensitive.
I don't mind. I'm just kind of going with the flow.
I mean,
it's not like we won't all see each other in 3 days anyway.
That's true.
My next objective would be to see the outcome of the scry tomorrow regarding Soot Scale, and probably for the rest of the day / evening, I would be with Arbiter, probably trying to fly with him, with his assistance, teaching me how to use the wings.
Makes sense. It's a little awkward, not the flying, I have to imagine, because this is not part of your physiology. It comes supernaturally easy. What I imagine doesn't is the G-forces. And now you're thinking with portals, Gordon. Like, flying, turning the different directions that you now can is jarring at first. And firing a firearm when there's not terra firma is awkward to say the least. Recoil in that space is much, much different. It doesn't take you long to learn how to compensate for it, so you're not like at risk of, I fire this firearm, I yeet myself through a window. Ow!
You
I have
messed
DR over magic. That window's not magic. I'm mostly just a vandal. Damn it.
Tommy, you missed an opportunity for the first time. We went into combat and Arcturus tried to do that. You could have had him like fly through a tree.
I'm declaring that I'm getting used to it for exactly
I
that
know.
reason.
He's
I
hedging
know.
his bets against an asshole GM. He's a smart man.
The thing that I wanted to bring up is because it was actually brought up that they wanted to speak to me when I was out of recovery, quote unquote recovery, and I haven't actually indulged them that yet, and that would be Maggie
Garrus.
McGarris. Yes,
I'm like, man,
he came looking for me, and then but was told that I was couldn't see him, and he's like, well, let him know I need to speak with him when he's available, and so I guess I'm available.
he probably, like, if you're in the streets at some point and word spreads, and enough people would, like, they see you just, greetings, ye lordship, big bow kind of thing.
No taxes.
Taxes is good taxes. That's my motto. One of these game nights we need to, because we talked about doing game nights at another server. I need to re-download Crusader and lose really bad at it because I would. But God, I gotta get out of the Crusader space.
So is
The
McGarris
keep is
around?
enclosed. You get there, you find there's enough like word that you're bopping about travels, and eventually you just kind of turn a corner, and there he is, just my lord. Big
Good to
formal
s-
bow.
It's been a long time since we last spoke.
Indeed.
I have been brought up to speed on the unfortunate news of your home. My condolences. There's nothing I can really say, I know, but I mean, as long as you require a home here, we will have you.
He nods. It is appreciated. I certainly would not want to. My sword is yours if you ask it. I don't really have a way to leave with points in the direction of Restov. Enemies that way, points slightly over, enemies that way. The Kelids that way. My retinue and I could make a break for Varizia, but I imagine we would simply all perish.
Well, I mean, no one will. The Fae, not withstanding, like no one here should cause you and your people any harm. You are welcomed. You are always welcome guests and valuable allies. So, as for these creatures, I can't guarantee they won't be an annoyance to you, if nothing else. But we are trying to deal with the situation the best we can.
The bastard sword that's like hung on his back, he draws it. He like pulls I guess it would just look like a vial, pops the cork, and then runs it down the length of the blade. You notice he has like 2 or 3 dozen of these vials just hanging from a bandolier. The weapon begins to glow a faint bluish-y color. One never travels into a land such as this without enough cold iron weapon blanches to see to it justice is done. Speaking of which, he kind of like looks around. Once he realizes there are no Fae in the area listening, I brought this up to you before, under admittedly much different circumstances. I shall bring it up again. There are many of your people who I think would do well under, and he holds up 2 hands, the measure and the chain. My offer to trade them still stands.
I do remember your offer. You were right. The circumstances certainly were very different at that time, and I may have dismissed your offer a little prematurely. With that said, I'm sure you are aware that a close friend of mine and a member of our High Council, Arcturus, has spoke nothing but highly of you and your order, and I have started to come around. So it is definitely a topic that I will broach with the others at our earliest opportunity.
Very good. He bows real big.
Was that the matter you sought me out for?
Yes.
Yesterday?
I simply seek permission before. I don't want to say conscripting. They would still be your citizens, just loyal to different ways. You understand.
Sort of. I would need a bit of a crash course on the more of the specifics of which you speak, but I'm sure it is something we can work through.
Come to my home in about 3 days. I'll teach you. I'll RP exposition then, and not with 7 minutes on the clock.
Right. I would like to. Oh yeah. So I got a really good cliffhanger opportunity here. If that is all you wish to discuss with me, I had a matter I needed to share with you. But this would need. Are you able to join me in private back at the castle?
He nods.
All right. So I will lead him through the courtyard, up the castle, and what is there? What's so funny?
I think it's a vote yes to Proposition Hell Knight. Clap, cheer,
I'm
thumbs up, fire, and car.
I'm not even looking at the chat right now because it's way too distracting.
The chat's dangerous. You can't do it.
It is. Okay, so as we reach the inside of the castle, I lead him up to Cato's sort of like private study area and order everyone there, any guards, anyone who may be in the vicinity, to please vacate the area. I require absolute privacy.
Yes, you know, Chip, and so it was.
And everybody's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Cato will then do a quick sort of kind of walk around to make sure that there are no stragglers. Make sure that. All right. So once the entire area is fully secured and fully sealed off, he looks to Megaris.
God.
And,
sorry.
And he says, something has happened, and I don't fully understand it. I think you may have more knowledge when it comes to these types of things than anyone else I could speak. Though I must insist that you swear a vow of secrecy before I'm able to share this with you. Those who already know are few. Those who do not know at this time must not be allowed to know. Can I count on your absolute and unflinching discretion in this matter?
He nods.
Forgive me, but I need you to swear this is. You may think I am making a big deal of this, but I cannot stress enough the importance of secrecy in this matter.
He nods again, and he reaches into the, like, under his shirt where he's obviously wearing the tag this medallion. It turns into my Hell Knight plate. It's the coolest magic item ever. Underneath that, a second medallion, which runs under his shirt. He pulls out just the crimson pentagram, the unholy symbol of Asmodeus, and he grips it. You notice as he does so that the points of the star extend like 1/4 of an inch on the other side of the circle, and he cuts his hand as he does so on the 5 points.
Okay.
Do you speak Infernal?
Just what we've discussed.
He says some things that you don't understand.
Okay.
Then nods. As he does so, the sound of bacon on a George Foreman grill, and that office joke happens. He obviously as he pulls his hand away, he points the palm at you, and the symbol has been burned into his hand. It looks pretty painful.
Ow. Okay, I have no doubts in your sincerity now. With a sigh and kind of a shaky hand, almost like you can tell he's Kato's very nervous. But he needs answers. He needs someone who, has insight in what this could possibly mean. Raises both of his arms just to the crown sitting on his head. And as he pulls it off, he lets the altar self enchantment expire.
Well, I must say I'm not surprised. Power.
Did you say not surprised or
power?
Surprised?
Not surprised.
Okay.
Power indeed comes from many places, and those willing to seek it lower places can often find great reward. As you look up and he holds his hand to you and then touches the bottom of the hand he burnt with his left bird fingertip. He incants an infernal, and the wound slowly starts to mend in a matter of seconds. It's like it was never there.
But I didn't seek this out. I don't understand how it happened.
I see.
I mean, not directly anyway, when I'm referring to seeking it out.
He nods.
Have you had any interactions with one known as, and right at 9 o'clock he will say the name, how does it pronounce? Sharon?
I've heard 4 different ways to do it.
Yeah.
The Greeks would say it a different way. Yeah, exactly.
Have you had any dealings with the entity known as Sharon? And I guess we can...
He shakes his head, no. Kind of raises an eyebrow as he does so. That the head shakes real slow. Also, really quickly before we end it there, because it is important, the scry happens the next day on Chief's at Scale. You find him sitting in the dwarven ruins, which have become the mining complex that you've turned them into, in one of the buildings that has not been converted, mostly because it's just a big Minecraft stone square that has been opened up. Just kind of sitting despondent, staring at the wall.
But he is.
Poor guy.
But he is alive, and that's where we're going to call this one. Not to immediately put the wind out of Dell's sail, but I wanted to make sure we got there.
I was expecting this conversation to be a cliffhanger till next session. So.
Best
Not
laid
today.
plan.
Devils and demons and things. Oh my. All right. Well, thank you all for your support. Thank you for making my Thursday night objectively much better than it would have been otherwise.
Same. This was a very refreshing sort of week with this off schedule session. I liked it. It was good.
Remember when we used to play
Don't
once
even.
every 2 weeks, and then within a matter of 7 days, we'll have played 3 times?
Nice.
Wrap up the recording.
And we're going to be at the Slithering, and we'll probably be long done with the Slithering by the time this is done. But if we're not, you can go check out Wiffle Possum and watch me struggle to make too many uses. Till then, we will see y'all next time. Say bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
y'all.